is Samantha Sapolsky, Module 4 response video, and for this video I chose to talk about ableism based off of the video and the readings that we had to complete for this week. So my experience is a little bit different. It doesn't, I guess, directly relate to me in terms of ableism in education. To an extent, I guess you could say it does. I have a 25-year-old cousin. Her name's Amanda, and Amanda has Down syndrome. And growing up with her, I kind of got to see her educational experience and how, it kind of affected her, and how, being someone with a disability kind of limited her in terms of her education, especially in the beginning. When we were younger, there was not really anything called, inclusion. So, in school, she was completely isolated from the rest of the students, completely isolated from, every other child in the school. She had her own teacher, her own classroom, never once got to participate with the rest of these students. And that took place for quite some time. That took place for a while, growing up. And it wasn't until, we hit middle school, high school time that had changed. And when I was younger, I did not understand that. That was something that I just didn't really understand, didn't really know, why that was important for them to be completely isolated. And it wasn't. I would go home from school and I asked my mom one day, I said, Mom, why are Amanda and her friends, in a different classroom? Why can't they just be with us? Why can't they, sit with us in class? And why can't, they be in our room and be, with us all the time? And that was something that, I just didn't understand. My mom, being a parent, didn't really have a good explanation for someone who was that young at the time. She told me that, Amanda and her friends just needed a little bit of additional help, so that's why they were going to a separate classroom. And, as I got older, I realized, yes, that may have been true. They may have needed, additional assistance in class and with tests and with homework, but they didn't need to be pulled out of a classroom the whole day, the whole time, the whole school year. And, I think as a society we've gotten a lot better in terms of inclusion, and, kids do get pulled out still for specific help. If they need help with a specific subject area, they go there for, additional assistance. But we have gotten better in that aspect. However, I still think that as an individual, with a disability, not that I've experienced this myself, but, growing up and seeing firsthand the experiences that they've, endured, I think that they, deserve just as much as we do in terms of their academic opportunities. So, fortunately, my cousin did succeed and she did graduate high school at a bit slower pace than most normal students. She didn't graduate high school till she was 21. But, she did graduate. She has a high school diploma, and, she was able to do that on her own. She was able to do that, with some assistance, with some help of, teachers, but it gave her a sense of accomplishment. It made her feel like she was just as, capable as every other student, which is something that I think, should be continued, and it should stay that way, if not, improve. And I don't think that there's any reason why we can't try and, improve that for students with disabilities, making sure that they can graduate, if not on time, but that they can graduate at all. There's no reason why they should be completely isolated and segregated from the rest of the school community. I think something that we could do better on in terms of inclusion is not so much academically, but with clubs and sports. Do you very rarely see a child with a disability participating on a sports team? And if you do, it's usually as, a helper or an assistant, or someone who gets in maybe once a year. And I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's something that, we should prohibit them from partaking in just because of whether it's their physical disability, their mental disability, cognitive, whatever it is, they should not be limited because of that. And this continues to happen at the college level, I think, to an extent. Very few people that I've experienced in my educational background have had disabilities or significant disabilities. There's disability services on most college campuses that are, available to students, but very rarely do you see, students with a very severe disability such as Down syndrome attending college. And I don't think that that's something that they're necessarily completely incapable of doing. So I think that that's something that we could be definitely better about. Even if it is at a community college level where they're able to just take some classes and get some support and continue their education. They graduated high school for a reason. They obviously are capable of doing so. And then also, as an undergraduate student, I went to the University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's a very, very urban campus. If any of you are not familiar with it, which I'm sure most of you aren't, it's a very urban campus. It's about a block wide by a block by block. It's a very large university, but space-wise, it's very compact, meaning that it's a struggle to get around campus for someone who's not, able to walk. There was specifically a student when I was an undergrad there who was confined to a wheelchair due to a disability she had acquired as a child, and it prevented her from walking long distances, if at all. Most days she could take 2 to 3 steps outside of her wheelchair, and that was about it. So getting to and from class for her was a very, very, very big struggle. She chose UC, knowing that that was her disability and that she was more than likely going to have to be wheelchair bound for the most part. But she chose UC because she wanted to go there and she wanted to, go to the university. And she has become a huge advocate on campus for making it more, friendly for students who cannot easily get around. So she has done a lot with campus, making sure that, we can make it a little bit more accessible, whether it's putting in ramps where there's steps. There's a lot of places on UC's campus where it's just steps where you have to take a significant amount of stairs to get from one level to the next because of how compact the campus is. And for a student in a wheelchair, she was not able to do that. So she worked really hard and, worked with the university to try and change that. And they've made some changes, to be more, accommodating to those with disabilities and just making sure that they feel comfortable and they feel safe in that environment. And also, she chose to go to that school, so she should be able to go to that school fully and, wholeheartedly, and that's not something she was able to do. So in terms of ableism and the education, I really think that just making changes, whether it's, having someone with a disability paired up in a group, with students who have a really strong, academic passion for that subject. So let's say a student is struggling or a student with a disability has a really hard time with reading. Maybe in class you could pair them with students who, they're very strong academically in that subject area, and help them so that way, they can still get additional help, still get additional assistance without having to be pulled out of the classroom. And with sports, again, just making them feel included, giving them the opportunity. If they want to play, they can play. They don't have to be the assistant. They don't have to be, the stat person. They don't have to sit on the bench and get in once a year when you are up by 30 points or down by 30 points. Making them feel like they're a student too. They are still in school for the same reason everyone else is, and that's to learn and to, at the end of the day, end with a degree. Whether it's a high school diploma, an associate's degree, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, whatever the case may be, that they're in it for the same reasons. Making sure that they have the tools necessary to, support that and to reach their dreams is really, as much as they're asking for. This is the same thing that you and I are asking for. It's the same thing anyone's asking for. So just, giving them the resources, giving them the tools and the additional help and support that they need to be successful. So that's about all I have for this module. But it was a pleasure working with everyone this semester. And we will see each other soon, I'm sure.